All right, let's get straight to it. We're about to deconstruct a financial philosophy that goes against pretty much everything you've ever been taught. This isn't about pinching pennies or climbing the corporate ladder. It's about understanding a code, a completely different set of rules for money.
And this quote, this is the core premise. The argument here is that financial ignorance isn't some accident. It's a feature of the system. It suggests there are two games being played with money, and most people are only taught the rules to one of them. And yeah, it's the one they can't win.
So let's dive into this first critical idea, the two sets of rules. The argument is that the system, education, banking, you name it, is structured to keep things just the way they are. And a huge part of that is making sure real financial education is left out of the curriculum.
You know the path you're told to follow, right? Go to school, get a good job, save your money. Well, this philosophy says that's a trap. The wealthy are playing a completely different game. They use an unwritten rulebook that actually leverages the very system designed to keep everyone else in line.
Okay, so now it's time to deconstruct what's called the old code. This is all that conventional financial advice that's drilled into our heads. We need to really look at why this advice, from this point of view, is fundamentally broken.
And here it is, the standard playbook. Get a job, work hard, save, avoid debt. It sounds so responsible, doesn't it? But the argument is that this advice is really designed to do one thing: create good, compliant employees, not financially independent people. It keeps you working for money, instead of the other way around.
Now this brings us to a critical concept, fake money. See, ever since 1971, our currency hasn't been tied to a real asset like gold. It's backed by debt, and that means it can be printed and printed and printed. So the real question becomes, why would you work your tail off to save something that someone else can create from thin air, making yours worth less and less?
And that leads to this idea of fake assets. We're taught to buy things like our home or a nice car and call them assets. But look at this difference. A fake asset is anything that takes money out of your pocket each month. A real asset does the opposite. It puts money in your pocket. That is the only definition that matters in this game.
Which brings us to the absolute heart of this entire philosophy, the asset liability protocol. This is it. This is the single lens you need to look through for every financial decision. It's the one rule that changes everything.
And it all comes down to this one fundamental question. Before you buy anything, before you invest in anything, you have to ask yourself, is this an asset or is it a liability? The answer literally determines your financial future. And here's the crucial detail. The object itself doesn't matter. A house isn't automatically an asset. The only thing that matters is the verb, the direction of the cash flow. Is money flowing to you because of this thing, or is it flowing away from you?
And here's the protocol, stripped down to its core. If cash flows into your pocket, it's an asset. If cash flows out of your pocket, it's a liability. That's it. That's the whole game. Your mission: acquire assets and get rid of liabilities.
Okay, now this is where the strategy gets really interesting. Weaponizing debt and taxes. You see, for most people, debt and taxes are their biggest fears, their biggest expenses. But for the financially educated, they are the most powerful tools for building wealth. Just look at this breakdown. There are three kinds of income. You've got earned income from your job, that's taxed the highest. Portfolio income from selling things like stocks, also taxed high. But then there's passive income, that cash flow from real assets we just talked about. That's taxed the lowest, sometimes not at all. So which one do you think the rich focus on?
And that's exactly why they don't have jobs in the way we think of them. A job gives you earned income, the kind that gets taxed to death. Their entire strategy is built around acquiring assets that produce passive income, so they can legally minimize their single biggest expense, taxes.
So what about debt? The source gives this insane example. One person was able to borrow $300 million from banks. Why? Because they used that debt to buy assets that produced more cash flow than the debt cost. That's good debt. It's tax-free money used to buy things that make you even more money. The system is designed to give it to you, but only if you know the rules.
So finally, we get to the most pivotal piece of the whole puzzle. And it actually has nothing to do with money. It's about the critical mindset shift. The words you say to yourself, your internal vocabulary, that's what truly dictates your financial reality. Just compare these two simple phrases. On one side, I can't afford it. It's a statement, a full stop. It tells your brain to shut down. Game over. But on the other side, you have a question. How can I afford it? That little change forces your brain to wake up, to start looking for solutions, to start playing the game.
Your words literally create your actions. The phrase, "I can't," becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the moment you shift to asking, "How can I?" you become an active problem solver. You start learning. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but every failure is just feedback. It's data that makes your financial intelligence stronger.
So we'll end on this. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a protocol you can run in your own head, starting right now. Changing your financial reality starts with changing your vocabulary. So the real question is, what is the very first "I can't" you're going to eliminate and turn into "How can I?" That is the real starting line.